Okay, we're into the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 400, Granite County Road Department and Solid Waste Department request to begin negotiation, discussion, and decision. Set everything up. I think that he can bring that to us.
So we'll wait for a date from him.
Because he needs to talk to the crew, and I think that's up to him. We're always the one that takes. So I'll entertain a motion on that.
What we're doing then, he's requesting to begin negotiations. And so our discussion is that he needs to bring us a date for negotiations. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and then he can have stuff ready for us, and then this way, like last time, we had everything, and he didn't, and then he brought a map and that. I just want to have it all ready. He can bring what he's bringing, and we'll go from there.
So that I make a motion that the International Union of Operating Engineers bring negotiation date to us.
With what they're gonna
With
ask.
what,
and that.
yeah, with
So we can-
negotiations, yeah.
And then that way it's ready to go instead of this another week, another 2 weeks. We can start and get it going.
Yep.
I second that. Did
Where'd
you
you
want to
go?
hear the motion, Chuck?
Huh?
You want to hear the motion on the union stuff?
Oh, I thought we were taking a break. I
Uh,
think we were off for 5 minutes.
We're already into the next one.
It wasn't 5
He
minutes.
started without you.
Okay, so what's going on?
Just that we're gonna have, go ahead, Blanche.
I made a motion that we would begin negotiations with the Union of Operating Engineers, Local 400, when they bring us a date for the negotiations.
1 second.
Any public comment? Seems none, all in favor?
I,
Aye, motion carried. Okay, all right, Cameron, well, you're up.
This meeting is actually the city meeting, you guys.
Yeah, the
We're
town.
just here to support, so.
You're gonna be the one explaining it anyway, so.
Well, Sarah,
Is that-
Oh, here, Paul, do you want the packet? I got an extra packet for you. There's so much. You get the paper clips one, and I make copies.
How's it going?
good.
Do you know, Billy? I'm assuming that the mayor and our Sam.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
Sam,
Sandra said, would you be able to be there when we go?
yeah. He sent me a packet
Okay.
to give to everybody, so.
Yes.
Always late. His support's about to walk out the door.
Are we waiting for something?
Yeah,
We're waiting for the town.
the town,
That was supposed to be here.
there's a weird phone number on there, but I don't know whose it is.
Is it going?
Do you want Sam's? So we want to call Sam? I tried 406-529.
Okay, not that fast.
I talked to him this morning, he said he was gonna be here.
406-529?
Yes, 771. I lied, 7116.
529.
Correct.
Always come in.
beach.
Well, I guess we can start with,
Yeah, and I can, as far as scope of, can I see your?
Yeah.
May I just look at?
Yeah.
look at your packet?
You hear the door, I bet they're coming.
What's that?
The door just opened.
There he is, the man of the hour.
Oh, man, I don't know, that's awful close.
That's what happens when you're late.
Get signed up for things you don't want to do.
are there people online today?
Elena,
Yep, there are, but I have these full conference mics all over the room now, so
Right.
people should be able to hear you if you speak
Let's
loud.
do introductions because we always get questions that later. So Cameron Razor, District Ranger with the Forest Service.
And Sarah Rouse with the Forest Service.
Sam Dennis with the town of Phillipsburg.
Gail.
Bill Leeper from,
Just so I know who's in back.
I'll let you kick it off, you want to?
Sure. So the town's put in for 2 RAC grants to do some work up at Red Lion and Fredberg. Mostly for our access road to Fredberg Lake. We were kind of focusing on that mile of road that we have an agreement with the Forest Service. It needs some work, but Red Lion Road really needs work. And we've been going back and forth with the Forest Service trying to figure out how to contract and use the money. And we keep hitting the same roadblock where town would have to come up with matching funds. And we don't necessarily have like a Fred Burr fund, it's just the water fund. So to come up with a match, we would be taking money away from the drinking water treatment, the distribution mains in town. It's pretty tough to come up with match money. So the idea was suggested that if the RAC funds, and correct me if I'm wrong, were to be utilized in some sort of an agreement with the county, right? We would not have to come up with that match, and the RAC funds could go directly to the road project. And work on, Red Line Road, which is, I believe, a county road in part. So we just wanted to get a feel of whether the commission would be interested in helping us with that. Does that sound right, guys? You know more about
Yes,
it than I
so
do.
they have, I mean, the total pot of money is about $109,000 with the 2 different RAC. And as Sam mentioned, the way, we've worked with the county in various ways before doing this, and there's not a substantial cash contribution. It's non-cash, in-kind kind of work that you have to come up with. Same with the town, but when it comes to sub-awards or any sort of contracting, because we have that agreement with you guys under our Schedule A and whatnot, then that sub-award piece goes away, whereas with the town, it does not. So just kind of, again, looking at, and this would be where you'd have to work with the town as far as scope of work, the amount, and what they're looking at contract, but contracting some of that out, like if they were to contract 25,000, they'd have to come up with 6,000 matching. But if you start to go up and trying to get this work knocked out, this year, and contracting, like maybe 75 grand, then you're looking at where the town would be having to come up with $26,000. And it's just kind of a weird rule that they have. So if somebody was looking to contract $75,000, the 26 would have to be paid through the town, and then the RAC funds can only pay for that difference. So it's like you're missing money kind of in a way. And so when you're awarded $109,000, you still have $109,000, but you might have to have quite a bit more than that.
And then they pay like the county when they're doing stuff.
Well, so that what we would be looking at is, we could have, working with our grants and agreements folks, that kind of gave us a couple different options. And so one would be that we'd have, with these $109,000 of RAC funds, you could have 2 different agreements, one with the town and one with the county, where the one with the county would be kind of like we've done in the past, and even like that 1589 road, where it's purely for contracting purposes. So you have some oversight money that would go to the county, like for billing and maybe for Paul for some oversight in that contract development or, you know, kind of quality control sort of stuff, but it would just be a contracting, whereas, you know, like for the town, they're really their only other option without coming up with this large cash contribution would be to do it in-house, and they just don't have the capacity to do it.
Power to do it.
And, you know, some of the other things we talked about is could they potentially increase their staffing for a short amount of time, but, and do it all in-house and rent more equipment, but that just gets a little complicated, and also you're trying to find somebody that is qualified to be able to do that. Most of those folks are contractors and maybe would be interested in some kind of short-term deal.
More like it.
So how much of this work would be on the Red Line Road?
The initial plan that we had, Chuck, was to just spend, and I got an estimate from a contractor for our mile-long stretch, and I'm sure it's gone up now with fuel prices, but he was talking 30 to 35,000 to rehab the town stretch and
Remember they said something about they were willing to work with us on it?
I have never talked to him.
I was just curious.
I haven't heard anything.
I wasn't at that meeting. So it was kind of a curveball thrown to us when Sam was putting in for these rack grants. We had no idea this was gonna come about. It's a rule that was new to us afterwards, because we thought we'd be able to handle the management of the repairing the road the same way we deal with you guys, but it's two totally different types of agreements. And again, it's only when they would subcontract out work. So they could buy the gravel for the project, they could do all that kind of stuff. But if they do a subcontract to hire excavator or a grader to go up to work on the road, that's when the cash contribution. And like Sarah said, it's pure cash. It can't be in-kind work or anything like that.
So what do you think, just starting at the beginning of the road and maybe on gravel and the shittier spots as you go along and
That would
try to
work really
band-aid yourself in there some? I mean, there's no way you could just start, you run out of money before you get started, you know?
But I think this is another long-term, you know, like Sam mentioned, there were two different times that it was put in for RAC funds and given money. And so it's something that's high on their list. And I think if we could show some good progress this year, because that's the other thing, it's just kind of been sitting for a little bit. And if we could show progress, it's something that I would potentially continue with that and provide more funding to finish all the way out through the Red Line Road. I mean, to me, that would just make sense.
Is this the same rack money that's going to 1538 road?
No,
No, different.
so this was put in by the town of Phillipsburg.
Okay, so Schedule A, you say because we signed Schedule A with you, that means that you can go through the county and they don't have to put up a match? Is that what that is? And what is it, what does it do to the county? How is the county responsible? Does the money come through the county or what? I'm not sure I quite understand.
So the money, the way that the money works then is, it's saying that it's really Forest Service funds then that we obligate out, and then the county bills us basically for reimbursement.
Okay, so the county has to do the billing, but it's the city
And
that's
pay
getting
the
the work done.
contractors.
And then we, as soon as we get a bill, we can do that however frequently, and then that money will get reimbursed to the county. So that's how that works. And correct, so because we have a overarching agreement with the county as far as road works and whatnot goes, almost like a true partnership. So it's a true partnership because that agreement that we have with you guys, you can work on our roads and we can work on your roads. True agreement, whereas with the town, we don't have something like that. That doesn't preclude them from getting Forest Service funding for projects, but it makes it different, again, when we're gonna do any sort of sub-award using contractors.
Well, they can put the money towards the job too,
instead of having to come up with
Mhm.
match money and struggle with that, because I don't think there's any way we can match up to 100,000.
And so that's the whole thing too, is I think, you know, when you're looking at matching funds and, you know, if you're saying, well, the project is going to cost $100,000 and then you all of a sudden have to match, now you have a $200,000 project instead of, you know, getting those funds that you needed in the first place.
So what you're saying is the town of Phillipsburg is proposing a partnership with the Forest Service and with the county for the RAC grant? Is that what this is? So we're all three of us in partnership? Is that what kind of sort of?
Kind of, sort of. yes.
I mean,
And I
I'm
would just
trying
say-
to,
And I would say
absorb
partnership in
this.
a loose term and that, and I think, you know, in Sam's, when the town, I'm not sure, Sam, when the town did put in their RAC, you know, it said in partnership, because the original proposal did include all the way out, which, you know, would be then county road as well. And then, but yeah, it's a loose partnership in that it's not some sort of formal agreement unless you guys already have something like that with the town.
so this
Is
is
the
a
Forest
good
Service
thing?
gonna put any equipment on that?
This is a good thing?
Originally, we had talked about kind of doing it the same way we were doing 1589 and what we did in 18 and 19, to try to spread the $100,000 as much as possible.
Mhm.
We might need to bring in, yeah, Forest Service equipment or county again, but, last July, there was a meeting set up
Right.
and, he didn't show up, so. But
And I think too, a lot of the
ideally, yeah.
same thing, I think Forest Service wise, some of the things that we've just talked briefly was if we can provide some culverts and, potentially some of the road crew. And also we're gonna provide some fallers, like some of the fire folks or rec folks with some chainsaws so that they could do some of their clearing up high, that wouldn't be quite right for excavator to
Right.
get into, up by the lake. So.
So is this for this year or this, when are
That's
we
what we
doing
were
this?
hoping to do this
Okay.
summer if we could.
So we have a timeline here that we have to say, yeah, we'll go in partnership with you, or what? How's that work?
Yeah, and the timeline is actually pretty quick in terms of our agreements, our grants and agreements folks, like this week, like yesterday, would be nice to do that, and then I can help work with you guys on the financial plan and whatnot. Because the other thing is once I know we have a little bit of time as far as access to get up there, but it's more on our grants and agreement side, would be the big push to get it on their, in their workflow. So that when it does come times, you know, town ran into this before, is we don't have those agreements signed and in place, we can't do any reimbursements, we can't do any, if there were costs occurred previous to that, we can't back pay.
Just plain simply
Mhm.
something.
Cause the town has, already done that piece where they paid for an engineer to come out and it's very detailed, they're very nice.
Posts, you know, it's all stationed.
This
off.
is that triple tree one that
Yeah,
gave us,
yeah,
yeah.
Brad stationed it off and kind of assessed. what
There's a
he did.
price
Why
on
don't
the
you
back.
hire Triple Tree to go up there and do that? I mean, it doesn't seem like a waste of money. Just to fix up a road. This is the road beyond the gate, right?
It's all of it.
That's all the way out to
It's all, yeah,
the Discovery Road.
We were trying to figure out how to actually bid something like that, so I went to Brad to try to get it stationed off so that you could say, okay, how much would it cost to rehab from station 1 to 10? That
So
was the
if I
only,
read this, will it tell me what's gonna happen on the Red Line Road?
it should, if that's the complete set.
Well, it's gonna tell you what they would propose to
And
make
then-
the whole road
And then
up to
certain
a certain
areas.
standard. Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Within that budget.
No, this is the home run. This is everything to make the road a high standard road. That's everything it would do.
So this doesn't do me any good.
It does, because now we have $109,000. We could prioritize it based on what we feel the most critical work is on that stretch of road. We can't, I mean, we would take $1 million. Have you driven it? Okay, it's
Right.
bad, yeah. But $109,000 is gonna get us going in the right direction.
We'll fix the worst of it, and then I can start looking into
Yeah,
other
but it
stuff.
still doesn't tell me what's gonna happen with that money. You know,
With the
I mean, it's just
109?
gonna be like a Band-Aid like what you're talking about.
Well, it's impossible to fix the whole thing with that much, but half of it's gonna go down by the lake, I assume.
30.
30,
You
so
know.
you still have 70. And even if this time you just got the culverts replaced, run the blade up and down it a little bit to improve it, and then just figure that in the grand scheme of things, someday you would have it fixed up like the engineer said. Might be 20 years from now, but
Well, and like I said,
all you can do is peck away at it.
At least it'd be a start to
It'd be a
getting
start
some
to
of the
get
work.
Yeah, you can't run a blade on a lot of it.
The bottom, about 1.5 miles could be bladed, I think, creatively, I can ditch, get the ditch and get some material. From there, then it's drainage work mostly.
and like I said, this is, the RAC has approved 2 different pots of money, so, or, 2 different times. And I know they wanna see some progress, and when they do, it'd be definitely a good project in the running to continue with that work, cause they're not gonna wanna throw $100,000 at it and just walk away from it completely. The whole point is cause they've seen that whole proposal. The proposal in general had everything, had the whole road included in there. And then, based on what they're awarded, then they get scaled back.
Another, go ahead, sorry, Scott. Another thing to think about is, since Maureen has been the commissioner, she had a vision to do some kind of fuels treatment up there. And it's just, you can never get a log truck even in there. So that fuels treatment is still a high priority, because Sam knows more about this than I do, but it's one of the only open water sources for municipalities. And if it were to have a huge wildfire go through, they would probably lose that designation, which then Phillipsburg loses their water. So we wanted to try to go in and do some kind of veg treatment. But you can't even get equipment or logging trucks or anything in there, so it's impossible to even start a project like that without doing something to the road. Now, I don't know if $100,000 is gonna get it even good enough for a log truck, but again, it's $100,000 in the road that we're not putting anything into now, so it'll help for sure. Then last, probably the big question you guys have is, well, how much work is it gonna be for us? And without knowing exactly what the city would like you guys to do, if I had to guess, it's only the subcontractor. So they could still buy all the gravel or the culverts, or we could just force them to give the culverts or whatever, but it's only the subcontracting. So right now, it might just be an excavator that gets subcontracted out, which is all administrative work that Billy could probably just handle it in her normal roles. And you guys just hire a contractor, build a Forest Service, we reimburse you, and they go up there and do the work on the road and let the city manage the actual on-the-ground efforts. So it's not a lot here. You guys can still charge the indirect fees to us, to the Forest Service, and get reimbursed for that. So I don't think it would be a huge lift, and you'll be able to gain a little bit of revenue from it.
Okay, so I guess I'd entertain a motion on this. If there is one.
Okey dokey. We need a motion, proposing partnership for the RAC grant project. I make a motion that we go in partnership with the town of Phillipsburg, and it would be the Forest Service too, for an RAC grant project. For what, 109,000?
Can we put a time limit on it, like this year, or I don't know, like.
Well, I don't know if it just depends on who they can
We
get or
have to
what's.
get the grant first.
I
right?
would say the agreement,
But we have the grant.
We have
It's
Oh, you
there.
have the grant.
It's
Money's in
there.
the bank.
So we're approved for the
Yeah.
We're trying to get as much
109,000.
work done with it as
Yeah.
possible.
They just trying to get a partnership.
normally Chuck, it is for a year. It's kind of what our grants and agreements folks have usually done.
So right now, we need to say yes to that, so you can get the,
So we can push that
get it done,
paperwork. through.
okay.
Well, I said get the work done within this year then, because, we get things hung out there, we got that thing going, this thing going, everything, and I forget what's going on.
Well, see, and this is the town of Phillipsburg that's actually gonna do it and subcontract to the road. So that's up to you to get,
They'll have to push on that.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
and I, in my mind right now, I'll have to check with clerk, but I would say that we would match up to 30, hire one contractor to do our part. And then if the remaining 70 and some change, if we can work with you guys to pay another contractor or the same one to use that money up and get as much done as we can this summer, and then we'll see where we are. And if it works out good, maybe we can do some more to.
Can they hire our crew to do the grading down below?
You can.
And that's something maybe this July when the snow's finally gone, we can do what we wanted to do last year and actually go up and take a look at it. See
Well, you guys can, yeah. So
And
do I
if
have,
it works where we can hire the county to do some work, maybe a road crew or whatever, I'm
Yeah.
game for that too. Just so
so,
we can get something done with the money.
do I have a
So the rack
second?
that we did,
Oh, sorry. Do I,
Okay, I'll say.
any public comment? Being none, all in favor? Aye, motion carried and passed, we'll be partners.
Thank you, guys.
You guys can keep in touch and then that way he can bring it back to us or,
So Sarah, real quick, can you talk next steps?
So next steps would be, that we have to get our grants and agreements, so there's a financial plan that we have to throw out, so I'll need to get that number from Sam as far as how much, if it's 70-30 and 70's going through you guys, then I'll work with Billy and we'll, get that, cause that'll have to get in pretty quick, like this week.
can you put it on, we can put it on the agenda for next week in case we have to sign it?
I don't think it would be ready for signature yet, we just need to do the piece of it that I need to submit to our grants and agreements folks, and I need to do that by this week. And then it gets, and they have this very long workload too. So like the other agreement that you guys and us are working on, that 1589 road, it's sitting in their workflow. It's all done until I think she's supposed to be reaching out for signature
Okay.
you guys soon. So anyway, the next steps would be that by this week, I need a hard number from Sam, and then I'll work with you guys, work through Billy with you guys to try to get that. And we can always modify that if the scope of work changes, but basically we're looking for like a scope of work and an amount, those two things. And if we need to modify that later, that's fine, but we'll get that in and then we'll bring it back for signature for you guys.
Okay,
Once it gets through.
all right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I think that's it.
All right, thanks.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
you
you.
later.
Bye.
All right, we're gonna move on, it's 10:40.
Oh, no, I always go with that.
Brandon Parrott's dam tender report, dam come up a little, it's 64, 28, 64, 10.32. Last week it was 11,
11.4.
11.4. So it's coming up.
Slowly. I'm gonna make a motion to stay the same, 2 weeks ago, started to make sure the rain in my place and I can probably say we have again. That's not much. I think it's gonna be a lot more. I don't think it's gonna come up without a bunch of rain still.
So there's still ice on there on the
Mhm.
lake, and so does that keep it from coming up?
No.
No,
Yeah, kinda.
it'll raise.
When
Okay.
on my farm, when the ice melts, it does raise a couple inches, but. I can't say that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so yeah,
for some reason, I noticed that.
I'll second that.
Any public comment? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried and passed, we're leaving as is. Blaine said it was echoing just a little bit. I didn't hear it. Oh, we'll go off until the 10:50. I still got a couple minutes. I thought though on that, the miners were saying that they'd help out with stuff, because if they started hauling out, I remember they were talking about they'd help on that Red Line Road, that they said they, some materials or something. When all the snowmobilers come in, remember they talked So that's why I was asking about if they could work with them too, in fact, to cut the cost. Or something.
Haven't heard from that guy.
And okay, so we'll go on to the second amended MOU opioid, No. opioid settlement funds, discussion decisions.
I think there's two different settlements that have gone back and forth and been on your guys' agenda. This apparently is one that Austin has amended. I don't know what the specific difference in it is. Lane sent it to me and told me your agenda and have to sign it. But I didn't read through it and I didn't know enough about the original.
So this is pertaining to any county populations of 30,000 or more, so it doesn't really include Granite County, but we're still a part of it, is that correct?
I don't really understand this. I looked and I don't, it's, and then it says that I didn't know if a person should have Blaine here to explain it better.
So it's,
What did Blaine say?
going to me to get it on your agenda, for you guys to sign. It is, let me go through.
Well, Blaine approved it.
Yeah, Blaine's read. So additionally, we decided to reconstruct the document for clarity of flow. Document will govern the use of settlement funds in Montana. So they've gone through and clarified the document. You guys have already signed the original MOU, for both cases. I think there's two different cases in the opioid pandemic, or epidemic. There's two different class actions. This is one of them and there's another one. You guys have already signed for the original. And this is the amended copy, which looks like our Attorney General went through and made some clarifications on how the money would be, settlement funds would be used in Montana.
So what do we need, a motion to sign
Sign
it?
it. I have the one with signature.
Well, on the advice of our attorney, I guess I'd make a motion to sign it. I don't understand.
I don't need.
So is this, I mean, refresh me, please, is this something that we had to join, so every county joined and to benefit the whole state and the bigger communities with this?
Is this something like when we gave the 25,000 for the league special? No, this is different.
No, this is just a class action. Basically, they knew that prescribing painkillers, that they were addictive. And so
Oh.
both those drug makers have been taken to court and their big class action suits against them. You guys already signed the original part. You guys are already part of the class action suit. This is just the amended.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking this was going to that legal.
So you
help.
motion, I second.
Any public comment on this? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion been carried. I was thinking it was that other stuff. Thank you. I have a comment from Blaine on the next, agenda. He says on this really benefits state as a whole, but county can get grants for like K9 unit for drug searches. That's what we just did.
So we did good.
Yeah.
We done good. Yeah, things go across and then you kind of forget and you have to refresh yourself.
Yeah, because I was thinking it was for that, you know, when we gave the money to
Yeah.
that attorneys over there when they shot the cop.
Oh,
in
right, yeah.
Freeport. See, I thought that's what
Yeah.
that amended. You got 3 life sentences. That guy that shot the cop in Freeport, him and his son, they killed it down here. All our stuff got shot up and shot at. Bad deal. He said this is in that Johnson and Johnson lawsuit. Bills and that. What we just signed.
So
I didn't
Johnson,
read what he
Johnson.
said. Yeah. So.
Yeah, how do you pronounce that? Opioid? Opioid.
Opioid.
And that's a drug?
So if people are taking like hydrocodone or oxycodone or oxycontin, you have like,
It's not a good thing. You become addicted.
yeah, they become addicted to them, is what happens, and then what happens, it has the same effect as heroin. So people then typically will no longer, they'll run out of their prescription, they'll start finding out the street, they'll longer for their prescription for heroin.
They take fentanyl back.
It just contributes to the whole
Yeah, it's bad.
problem.
Yeah, that sheriff or his deputy sheriff on the reservation said there's some new drug. He told me the name again. I can't think of it. Coming out of Florida. And that's worse than that other. He's killing kids up there.
It's expensive.
This-
Comes from China.
Huh?
Comes from China.
Well, he said, no, this isn't that. It's a brand
Well,
new.
there is a new one, and they said it was way more powerful. I mean, this is brand new, I don't know.
Yeah, this is like in the
Brand
last
new,
month.
They said in the last month? Yeah, that's what I heard, I saw it. That it's way more powerful than fentanyl. How can that be? No, fentanyl will kill you, it's that much.
Yeah, this stuff, and then they're breaking it, and he said, yeah, it's not good. Okay, it's 11. Ongoing negotiations with Flint Creek Hydro LLC with Judd McLean, obtaining expert with. Blaine says I have calls into the gentleman on Flint Creek project and waiting to hear back. I will keep trying and will try to find other options. So, yeah. So all we can do is just keep trying to find somebody. Then I'm afraid it's gonna end up.
So we're not having any luck with an expert, is that what he's saying?
He just says I have calls in too. He didn't give a, you know. He told the guy's name now, but I didn't. I thought last week we decided not to share his name.
You guys are not sharing names, you do litigation strategy.
That's why I didn't.
Or what I have it.
Yeah. So I guess we're just kind of at a hold yet, still waiting to try to get an expert. And then I guess once we get an expert, then we can move ahead on this dam. Cause all that stuff's gonna be coming up pretty soon again. More and more. We can go off to 11:15. If there's no comments on this. Nope. It, hers blinked and then it went, so.
We're going up to 11:15.
Okay, we're back on. A couple minutes early. Come on up, Ernie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You all ready?
Go ahead.
So that diagram that you're looking at there, that essentially captures with overview of the direction that I think is going to work out best as far as the airport being able to lay out future hangar space. So essentially that before they go, they'll actually create a CAD drawing of all that stuff and blow it up so it's a lot larger. This was kind of, they actually had a larger one, but computer blew up last week. So I'm in the middle of fixing that and getting all my files restored and everything else. But this is a copy of this. It's kind of small, but I'm going to get a larger one for everybody to look at. But to kind of highlight the main points of this layout is it'll provide a new hangar space. And this also meets all the new requirements for the FAA as far as you'll kind of see it in there. So each of your taxiways, they have to be a certain width. And that's the problem with the existing hangars right now. They're actually set too close together. I think they're 10 foot too shy right now. So, but rather than going in there and spending a bunch of money, people are already in the hangars anyway, rather than tearing all that down, we'll just wait until they're no longer in service or no longer serviceable. Then whenever those hangars need to be replaced, then we'll just push them back to where they should be to do a rebuild right then. Eventually, those will all be moved back as the buildings just get outdated or used. The next thing is the power pole. There's currently overhead power, and it's not a good idea to have it. So we looked at the cost, and basically, I think it's actually going to turn out to be cheaper rather than putting up a new power pole. You got to put a couple of them in. This will just go underground with it all the way over there. So it makes things a whole lot easier to clean up and at the airport as well. And looking at that, so I spoke with Northwestern Energy, Kyle. I think his name's Kyle. I spoke with him about it, and he basically indicated the same thing. It's going to be a whole lot easier to go underground rather than trying to buy a couple of poles. And the poles are really expensive anyway. So
that was the direction for that. What I'd like to do as well is to move, so like the existing access road, you know, comes in right there next to the runway. And that was one of the FAA's concerns, like, like intrusions and stuff like that, is they don't like the road being right next to the runway. But they don't like it being next to Highway 1 either, but they're really good about that. But to try to push that access road up and basically bring it in farther up the road there, and then grass out and whatever. But that will essentially eliminate any concerns for any kind of purchase. The fencing over there, I'm planning on fixing that, probably or repairing those fencing. If you guys can buy these prices here, we're down to a bunch of in spots, so I'll just go back and do that this weekend. So I'm actually in the middle of doing that now out at my place. So essentially what as far as like the upgrades and all that kind of stuff, I know I keep getting comments back from people, not so much now, but essentially when we first started, I was getting a bunch of them. Everybody's worried about, oh my God, you're gonna make the airport bigger and this and that, but it's not. Everything's gonna stay the same. So it's right now 60-foot wide, the runway 60-foot wide, 3,600 foot long. Stay with that. Replace the blacktop that's existing, and then any of the new construction stuff will actually be added on kind of over there where the windsock is, the main windsock is pretty much where all that goes up through there. So, and everything has been fixed now, as far as I know. As far as getting everything being recorded with the courthouse, remember I kind of mentioned before is everything wasn't recorded properly over there as far as like the use permits and that kind of stuff. All that stuff like you can now be fixed with TRC. So, but I will mention, I don't know if you place to mention if it goes on record here, but they had also mentioned, I guess, that the county had purchased, and this is not on airport property, but over there on the park or something, park. And when they purchased some of that property over there, they purchased it from a federal agency that wasn't allowed to sell that to the county. And that was back, I think he said in the 60s or something. That well, I don't have nothing to do with me, so.
I never heard
I don't want to know anything about it. He can come talk to you guys if I need to. Nobody's saying anything. It's like, it's kind of.
So when did this pop up?
That popped up when I was going through all the airport stuff, trying to figure out, do we actually have the rights to this as it been recorded? Have proper use agreements in place.
So you had a title search done on it or what?
Well, it would.
You kind of did the
It's just
search
me.
yourself?
Yeah, it was me.
So how do we know what you're saying is gospel?
Well, it came from the DNRC, the guy that I was looking up everything else with. So.
So when's the final plan from KLJ?
I'm hoping that we can get the final airport layout plan probably within a month. So I needed to get this to you guys so that you can take a look at it and say, yes, this looks good and improve it. That way they can go ahead. They've actually already started with all the birding and everything else. Kind of basically highlight what I just did here. To put that into the airport layout plan, actually the official plan, which will also be incorporated into the master. But,
So this is the plan that the KLJ, that the
drafted,
grant money
yeah,
is.
that's actually like 5th or 6th one. So we've met with them.
This is the
numerous
plan.
times.
that
Yeah, that's kind of the
grant
collective
is
plan
paying for.
from all these different meetings.
Yeah.
So what's TOFA? It says future TOFA.
TOFA. That's your terminal area.
No, it's top one.
Yeah.
Three dotted lines.
Stands.
Trying to figure out what, yeah, the blue, but yellow and one.
Oh, look at that.
What is it, fence? Cause it's running,
It could, yeah, actually could be the fence because that is run along.
it's kind of running along the property line. Well, kind of.
Well, it's kind of like it gets rid of the parking, ain't that parking?
Oh, it's taxiway object-free areas. I Googled it.
What is it?
What is it?
Taxiway object-free areas.
Basically, you can't put anything in.
So they can
So
put
if
it
somebody's
around.
taxiing, you don't run into it.
Oh.
Thank you.
So it can be all fenced?
Yeah, so, well, essentially the fence on the outside, you know, that's the critters, everything else out. But yeah, we would move the fence, basically to the outside of that. And the other thing I forgot to mention as far as that roadway, getting that moved farther up the road. That has to do with what we're trying to get put in there is a GPS approach, which will go a whole lot easier and faster than basically anything else. But that'll allow for ILS entry into the airport with inclement weather or like Wi-Fi and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what we've been pushing all this for as well, is so that those guys will actually come out if they need to, then they'll be able to come out and shoot the approach. And it's probably gonna wind up being like a lot of your major airports, you can usually go down to a couple of 100 feet above the ground. And then you have to be able to see the runway land. This one will probably wind up like 1,000 feet or something, but it'll still be a whole lot better than now. They don't, unless it's actual visual weather, they don't even come here.
Do they have to have a certain spot for like life flight now, or they can just land?
Now they can leave.
I see a couple brown things I didn't know.
So is the problem solved with the runway lights? they're keep coming on?
It's solved itself for now. It's the only real way to solve that is that unit has to be replaced, and I think it's like 30 grand. It's really expensive.
We just decided to leave that light
it's
on
gonna-
until they figure
Yeah,
out
it's
what
gonna
they're
be
doing.
replaced with this upgrade anyways, so, but if we go and purchase that now, then that would just get deducted out of it, just out the money. So-
But they're not coming on like we're staying on or are they?
Well, they have a couple of times, and I just stopped in there and reset it. It works.
So resetting it works for a while. and then-
Resetting it works, it just, I did reset it one day and then they went off, and then I came to town and drove back out, it was already back on, so I reset it again and then. it seemed to work.
Well, I hate to spend the 30,000 on it if we're
Well,
gonna
I
do
do
something
too,
else
'cause
there.
we're gonna spend it anyway, but like I said, then you won't get the grant money for it, because then it's already a new system, so.
What do
My
you,
opinion, it's kind of a waste if you do it now.
Yeah.
It's a
Well,
little
yeah,
bit of
right.
Electricity, but
any ideas on the Drummond one? Yeah, have any update on that or?
well, we're gonna have to mow it, and then there is, we do have a few gophers and stuff out there, so let's mow it, roll it, kind of see where that's at. It's still in decent shape. Darcy went out there 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Basically drove it and checked on it. But he was there. He was 3 weeks ago.
It says future terminal, would there be security?
Well, what that's for is like we generally have what's called the FBO. It's just like a little office. And it usually has a computer or something like that in it, like checking weather. And it's just basically an office to get in and out of the weather. So if we ever decide to build one of those, it's just open to the public to go in.
So if they got a layover, they could just stay in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really not set up for like a layover per se, but it's just somewhere to go hang out, stay out of the weather. somewhere
Hmm.
to give you weather updates. Like I said, rather than just setting.
So what's to prevent the FAA from, in the future, they've got a terminal, and then saying, well, we need security. We have all this,
Well, there's really nothing. I mean, number one, you'd have to be so they have different classes of airports that they do that for. Like you, for instance, that's not, but I don't even know where that starts, but I think those are like class B airports or B plus. There's a whole laundry list. I don't remember what they are, but we don't even meet that. We're a dinky airport.
well, you know, we deal with FERC all the time, and they change the rules, they come up with new stuff all.
Yeah, those guys. We used to have to do.
So what's to prevent the FAA from looking at that?
Well, they're actually, that's part of like the master plan, ALP and all that. They actually have to approve all that, what all this goes into. But kind of once they approve it, they've already said it's okay. They can't come back later and say, all right, well, yeah, so now here's what we're doing. Here's the new rules you got to follow. They can't do all that. FERC, on the other hand, can, and that's because they're really not the government. Say, here's what your rules and requirements are to be able to do your forecasts and nail them down. They just kind of wing it as they go and assume everybody has money all the time. At least that's been my experience with it.
Is there any public comment for Ernie? Elena?
Thank you, Elena Gagliano, for the record. First of all, I could hardly hear Ernie and whatever he was saying. The other thing is, my question is, what economic benefits will these improvements have to the county as a whole?
Well, there's several different, as far as just strictly economic benefits, that would be obviously giving people an additional means to come to the town for tourist activities. That was only part of the reason for doing this. It wasn't so much for economics. Is number one, it's a safety issue. The airport hasn't been updated for years. And if we don't go and do something to fix it and it becomes unsafe and liability, then you wind up having to shut the airport down. So
Okay.
then, but another benefit to the county, like I was talking about, is to be able to do medical services and stuff like that for life flight or anything that needs to be done. That gives you a place to do that rather than having to haul somebody in an ambulance for hours on end. They can actually fly out here. I know that's not economic, but it's still a benefit.
Okay, again, I could barely hear you. As far as the benefits, you said tourism. Tourism, there's going to be basically just for private planes. That's not going to be able to handle big planes. And as far as, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but as far as emergency, again, it would be helicopter, which we already have, unless it's a smaller emergency plane. So, again, for the whole, I don't understand how that's going to benefit the county.
The current plane that they use is a PC-12, which you'll see it out there at the airport very frequently. And what they use that for is to transport patients, obviously various reasons, but a lot of times they have to go to Washington, either the burn center or for specialized services. That's what they use, that PC-12. PC-12
a jet or?
No, that's a single engine prop plane, but they're pressurized, fast, very good capability as far as like short takeoff and landings, which is why they use them.
Real small jets be able to land there?
I don't know about a jet. Basically, the largest planes that we've seen there is like a PC-12, or a King Air. They might be able to, I don't know, but I wouldn't recommend it. Because the runway's just too short. And it's not, the problem isn't so much coming into land, the problem is when you go to take off, you have to have extra space. That's the problem. And obviously we can't increase the footprint or nothing else over there, so we kind of.
What about those power lines on the south end?
Those were fine. I mean, obviously, that was one of the first things that we're trying to do to get those moved underground, but it's a horrendous cost.
Alrighty, well, 11:31, so if you have any other comments,
No,
thank you very much for the update, appreciate it.
thank you. And I guess will you guys send an email saying yes?
Oh, yeah, do you guys want a motion if you approve this?
I
plan?
just, yeah. Can I entertain a motion on the
On the diagram.
KLJ diagram?
I don't think I'm ready to do that. Why don't we do that on just
So we have, it doesn't say anything in the, doesn't say you're approving a plan, it just says,
No, basically what this does, this is not like approving. This is to say, okay, yeah, we agree with this, and then they can actually go and finish developing the plan to bring it to us. I just don't want them heading down a path, kind of like where we started. This is like probably the 5th iteration, and they were headed down the path of basically trying to make this a huge airport and go make property purchases, and it was honestly just out of control. This right here is what we need. This essentially fixes our existing.
And we asked to kind of see what they were working on, to see what was gonna come to it, you know.
To see what they had proposed for.
Yeah, so
2 million of those, you guys can see all that too.
we just wanted an update on what was going on out there and what, because we were having people ask about the money and that. So this here, if we,
approve the update.
well, this here is just to move on, then
This
they
is
can go
just to
bigger.
get them headed in the right direction of, yeah, this is definitely the direction we want to go. Like I said, this was a consolidation effort through the,
And then if
it's
there
not
were,
the steering committee, but remember the committee we put together, it's,
Yeah.
that name, I don't remember what that.
The airport planning.
Yeah, so airport planning committee, the airport board, speaking to everybody that's out in the community. That's kind of this is the total effort of all that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And then they'll take this and actually implement this into the actual airport layout plan, which will be rolled up with the master plan.
because if there was something to change on there, like if we looked, said, oh, we
Well, nothing, yeah, there's nothing that's like
said,
in concrete or nothing. No, I just want to make sure that you guys are on board.
kind of have an idea what was going on and what the money was going towards. Now we can kind of see the master plan, what it's coming to.
Correct.
So do I have a motion?
Well, I could say that I'd make a motion to accept this update plan, but this
Just a guide,
as a guide,
as a guide.
as a guide to the plan.
Yeah, because when the other guide comes in, you can vote either way, you know, maybe we don't like it, maybe something, that regulations will be different, so.
I'll second it.
Any public comment on that motion? Being none, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Motion carried and passed. Thanks, Ernie. Thanks for the
Thank you,
update.
appreciate it. Appreciate y'all's time.
Are we mowing or is the county mowing the airport?
If you guys would, please.
Okay. I'll-
Just
Yeah,
turn
throw
on
that
the
ball.
lights.
Okay. I wasn't sure if the Princes were doing it again or if we did
Well,
last year.
Prince's, they did it for me one time last year. We were in a hurry and now that the
Yeah,
mower was
okay.
somewhere.
All right, well, we'll get it took care of. Thanks, Ernie.
Thank you.
All right, sorry about that, man. All right, we're on 11:30, about 5 minutes behind. Sorry about that. Town of Drummond Mayor Gail Leeper, discuss holding joint session meetings, discussion and decision. Go ahead.
I
Mayor.
just, it's been a long time since we've had one, and just being in here this morning, there's many things that could benefit joint session. I know people can come and listen in, but, you know, for whatever reason, they work, whatever that is, and in the evenings when we have those joint sessions, I think there's a lot of money in between the towns and the counties and all of that, and where we don't know even how that money is gonna go, 100%, but giving the public some, and it just gives us a chance to work together, I think, so.
Did you have a month set up? Or
June.
June?
Yeah, I mean, because we were doing it quarterly before, and so March has already passed, so I would assume June.
And is this one in?
Honestly, I've forgotten where
I
the
think
last
we
one
were-
was.
Well, I thought the last one we were headed up there and then COVID hit us and then we were gonna do a special one. And we
Oh,
didn't.
the last one we were gonna do down there.
Oh, Chalet.
The last one I was at was the library drum, right?
Yeah,
Is that the last one that was held?
so it was going Phillipsburg, Drummond, Barrymouth, Georgetown.
I'll just throw it out, I'm there, not gonna do it. If we have one up there, nobody shows up.
I don't think
It's not
it's
that far for them to drive down.
I don't think
Right,
it's
right,
about that, Chuck. I think it's about us being together.
Well,
People
I'll
don't-
give the other places a try, but I'll just tell you right now, I probably won't go to it. It's a waste of time.
But you're representing the people from
I
Granite
know,
County.
and I drive down there, I do live up by there, and they can come down here as well as I can come down here. Should.
Well, let's, I think we should try to go back to the Chalet because that was the last setting and do it in the evening on it'd be probably even a Tuesday evening or a Thursday evening. 'Cause Wednesdays
we were-
aren't church. Don't they have church stuff on Wednesdays or is that kind
That's
of?
when we were doing them.
Well, that's what I know, and I heard before that there were people that came, but they had, I don't know, Gail, that's the thing, you can't please everybody.
No,
to
you
the-
can't. And a Thursday is fine. Tuesdays, there's a lot of meetings, a lot of council meetings but
Let's set it for the 16th of June, that puts it right in the middle.
perfect.
Is that
I'll
all right?
call.
Is that all right with you guys? I'm not,
Yeah.
yeah, and then call Paul, you got his number, yeah, I just talked to him the other day, not about this, but if we could do it the 16th and see if he's even, he was a little behind opening up, so we don't wanna, if he can't, let's move it back to either go Rock Creek at the Merc, or we haven't been there for a long time either. Last
It's
time we
so
went,
Small. The Merc was really small. I mean, we can do it though.
no, we all got in there, there wasn't many of us, but, you know, but I mean, I just know that they wondering why they kinda got left out, is what I got told.
No, well, hey, I'm game for wherever
I
you
know,
wanna
I'm
do
just-
it.
It's hard to please them all. Let's just go the 16th at the Chalet at 7 o'clock.
7.
And then that way it gives people time to get off work. And unless there's something else on that date,
I think we're far enough out that we're okay. And if something were to come up, that way we can all get it on, you know, to do it. So is this going to be where Billy's gonna be taking the notes? Normally what we've been
well,
doing.
whoever set it up like you guys did and then we
Right,
will.
so this one is kind of the county one.
We'll
What we've
just-
been doing was the county kind of had 2, and then we had the ones in.
And then the one up here that the mayor did his up here.
He
So
did,
we'll do the
yeah.
one at the Chalet, Billy.
And what I'll probably do is call him, Paul, and then talk to him, and then I'll have him
Get on me.
get a hold of
Yeah, just to make sure he should be open by then. I see campers pulling in there, but just,
Sure. Well, I think we've got enough time. that we
Who's
can
he?
do that.
Shermouth.
he owns a Bearmouth Chalet.
Chalet.
Hmm.
The Shermouth
Mhm.
Chalet.
Paul Alamo. is his name?
Chalet Bearmouth.
Yeah.
I kind of reversed.
Okay, sounds good. That's all I have.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So does this have to, do you have to have a motion or anything on this?
I think we're just setting it. I guess we can make a motion, but I don't
Just
see
set
why
the
we have
meeting.
to. It's just a.
Set a meeting for June 16th?
We just, make sure that we, post it so that people know we're informed. All right, thank you.
We don't have no special people come to that. It's just pretty much us, cause we don't
No,
wanna get, cause
and,
I'm worried about there at the chalet that, I don't wanna get the Department of Transportation,
No.
get sucked in there to being, I know what's gonna come.
no, all the agenda items were things pertaining to what the towns and the county were working on together.
Cause we don't want, yeah.
So who would set up the agenda for this? Is it,
So, yeah, we give her our agenda items, both Mayor Reddish and myself, and then she communicates that to the commission. You guys can put on.
And then we run that meeting, then when we come back to library, Gail runs that meeting and Mayor runs his.
But it's not just general topics. It's specific topics that are not going to be a free-for-all. Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Gail.
yep, see you later.
Bye.
See, and I think that one time when Slaughter was in here that I should go off. I should have said his name. We'll go off. Okay, we're back on for the 11:45 NRCS grant update discussion. I looked through this and I know Clark Ward mentioned this to us and he was wondering what's going on with the. Now, I don't know if I'm saying it, I was hoping he'd be on. But anyway, he was talking about doing these trim and why these grants are paying for that when these people build up in there and they knew what they're getting at. I talked to him the other day and he thought this money was being used not correctly. And I was hoping he'd be on. I don't see.
From what I know about it, I think he's probably right. And I guess I totally agree with that. But it's not our decision.
No,
I've looked at that before and I go, if you live up there, and you don't have enough whatever to go out there and clear your own land and make it fireproof. And what's happening, I get federal, in my opinion, they get federal dollars, so they can make their land fireproof. It's not the federal government's business to be doing private land, in my opinion. And then, once they get that land fireproof, so to speak, then the government, the federal land can burn it and they can let it burn.
well, I think that's the thing. Once you take this money for a clearing and that, then you're giving, I just don't.
So I think the guy's right. We're complaining about, I don't know what to do.
Well, I totally, they know what they're getting into and then.
So the TIP proposes to reduce fuel loads in the subdivisions, which is right. It's private property. It's
Private
not
property, and
to reduce risk and create a defensible area.
the federal government wasn't set up to fund every stupid private thing, city thing, county thing. I mean, it can't stand, can't do it.
No, and it's getting out of hand and everybody's getting, and then the people that own the ground, you go out there and start them, then they tell, well, no, this and that, but yet they're getting so much per acre or so much, and then that's like, it's just pretty much about all the money.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Well, what do you do about it? I mean, what can you do?
I don't know what we can do about it besides, I don't know if I was hoping he'd be on there or something. Maybe we could call him, try to get him on for next week and say that we went over this. I don't want to make no decision not till he's let him speak for himself and, I mean, there's no decision
I
anyway.
think all I can do is say I agree with you.
Yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
discussion anyway. I was thinking there's, yeah, that we don't agree with what they're doing either, but I don't know how where it's a USDA, they do pretty much their own, he's just thinking that the money should be going towards more, other stuff if you're gonna do that than that. And I understand, there's, hey,
Well, some with an economic benefit. I mean, this benefits nobody except that private.
The landowner, yeah, person in the subdivision, yeah. Field
So-
break and weed treatment.
There's just so much of this that's dictated by them when they come in there, and then it's like, you're pretty much, people don't realize how much they're really giving up, because once you take that government money there, then that. Oh, like out here, that FEMA, when we took that and now we can't do the creek, and then FEMA comes in and says, well, you don't do, you took this and this is where it's gonna be.
So you have as partners the Black Pine and Marshall Ridge Homeowners Association as partners, project partners on this.
That's the one he was saying, that them people moved back in there behind him and they know what they moved into, and now they want to be paid for clearing their ground. I understand what he's saying. Clark Ward's his name. I'll say his name because he's the one that brought this to our attention. I was hoping he'd be here, but maybe next week he can get on for a little bit and just, you guys care?
Well, it just seems that this is something that the Black Pine and Marshall Ridge Homeowners Association probably applied for, and their NRC and MSU and Granite Conservation District is all in it with them.
So, I mean,
It
there
has
ain't
nothing to
nothing.
do with Granite County.
No,
I think he was just wanting us support or something, saying that, yeah, we don't, but I mean, yeah, we can't change or do nothing, but we can tell him we're in support and just leave it at that and let him see what he thinks. I don't agree with a lot of it either. But these people, like I said, there's so many handouts anymore that everybody's going for everything, and they're getting it too. It's gonna come back and bite a lot of this people.
So if this project is taking away from like the farm bill and financial assistance because the money's going there,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's what this guy was
Yeah.
complaining about. They should be going to something. I don't agree with federal government funding everything anyway.
Yeah.
But at least it should go to something that has an economic value for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And not just, and that's what he's saying, I think.
Yeah.
Cause if you help a water project or whatever, a canal or irrigation or something.
Than just a homeowner.
Yeah, I mean, then
Clearing
there's
a
crops
tree.
and then there's livestock and then there's whatever, and everybody gets a benefit. Some, I mean,
Blaine said, don't think granite conservation is part of decision in NRCS is, can find out though. We'll put it on the agenda
He's
for
right
next.
on that. I did
Well, it's
talk
on
to Jody.
project partners.
I did talk to Jody, and she said that our local conservation district doesn't have anything to do with this,
So
Okay.
why do they have it listed, do you think?
because it's something that's available in our county. But she said our conservation district isn't in charge of this,
Okay.
because she referred me to go to the website and get the information off of the website. She said they didn't have packets. This is something like her conservation district is handling as part of the NRCS.
Okay.
So he's right on that.
Alrighty. We got a couple minutes. It's at 11:50.
So has this been approved?
Mm-hmm. The money's been out there to these people, and then they're the ones that go out and apply for it, and then it takes away from the agriculture or whatever to clean up your house site. So, like I said, we don't have no say in nothing. It's just, I think he was just kind of wanting people to realize really what's going on, and he don't agree with them cleaning up, you know, and there's agricultural and other stuff that really the money could go towards, it's gonna be a benefit better. I think that's pretty much what, I just tried calling him too. 'Cause I hate speaking for him.
Right, we can't really, it's just something that they managed to get in there and
Mm-hmm.
they're getting granted this.
Yeah.
And nothing to do about it.
And I see the frustration, because then, you know, the person that's got a business and that, he's struggling, and here they're spending this kind of money on cleaning some stuff up around $1 million house. You know, I totally understand it. Is there any public comment on this? Clark, are you on there? Because some of them phone numbers, I just don't know who they are. That's why I think that, like we've talked about this before, we should be able to know, instead of just putting a phone number, who's who and what's what.
Yeah,
Because
see,
then
they
if we're
work in
missing
here, they'd
somebody,
have to sign in, and we know who everybody is.
well, we might be missing somebody due to a phone number that we don't know what they're on there for, and I'm not, you know. Anyway, that's my opinion on that.
I talked to my brother about this at our CS thing this morning, and you guys have basically said exactly what he said too, is as an egg producer, all that money has always been slated for egg, and to support the egg producers in our county, and now it's going to homeowners.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's right. You know, it's, these guys have worked hard trying to get, you know, the NRCS has helped them, and then all of a sudden now, it seems like the money's just starting to float away to something not to where it should have been.
And egg producers are struggling. The drought, the cost of fuel.
Oops, we're 3 minutes early. I was going on, sorry.
Well, what do? You get a hold of the concerned community would have to get a hold of the NRCS.
Yeah.
And
And I
say,
think-
hey,
I think they have, and I think he was just bringing it to our attention, what's going on, so if it got, you know, maybe someday down the line might need a letter of support or something.
So we could write a letter to these guys and say that we don't agree with it.
But I just soon he would be on there and talk.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yeah.
can talk about it next week.
Yeah, next week, and then he can bring it, and then, yeah.
I'd be willing to do a letter, just say, hey, what do you think?
so it's like a little loophole in there that's gonna help private ownership.
Exactly. You just said, yeah, exactly. That they can use this, get this so much money per foot or per acre. It used to be by acre, but now subdivisions, I don't know how many acres in each one. So now they can just, it's just a set amount, I think. So they can get $10,000 just cut down a few trees around their house, which they should have done when they built. All righty, well, it's 11:59. We're gonna move on to the final comments on Department of Transportation speed study. Did you want me to read the letter from Elena?
If you want to, I put in the paper for, I want to say I had it in there for 4 weeks, requesting public comment on the speed study, and Elena's is the only public comment I have received.
And I haven't heard nothing back from, and I've asked a few people. I've actually been out there and I've talked to a couple, and they said, you know, it's bad, but they've gotten used to it, and it's not an excuse. I don't think it's ever gonna change. Being the way he talked, and it just, yeah, and I don't agree. I agree with Elena that, yeah, they spent more money doing the study than they could put up some signs. And I didn't realize it was before, you know, when what's his name went over to the transportation meeting and everything, how big of a fight it is to change the speed limit. That's pretty much when somebody gets killed, then they'll do it.
Yeah. Well, they're driving through there 80 miles an hour.
It's no
about
60.
Every time I come back to the
Well, today I come up and I followed a guy and I was right up to 76. I just see him right there. And because I seen a red rig coming out of Black Pine, I just kind of seen once they went over, man, they was just hauling it. It wasn't even a break. I got a comment from Blaine here. Oh no, it's on the next one. But you want me to read this, Elena? Or
Yes, great.
I totally agree with you on this, Elena. I think there should be a speed limit there. I don't like the way that, and then they come back and said, well, change your road system. Well, that's BS too. I don't know. It just don't look good for the changing the speed limit. Go ahead, Elena.
Thank you. Well, one thing, I've talked to people up here and I asked them if they sent a letter and they said, what good is it going to be? Because they don't listen anyway. See, that's the attitude. But I think the newspaper said we have up till May 3rd for the letters. Am I correct or wrong on that?
You are correct. I'm trying to get some of the final commissioners' comments because Glenn Campbell keeps emailing me every week.
Because then we have to have somebody go over to the meeting. Last time we sent the DES, or we didn't, he went on his own because he was changing the speed limit down at Maxville. And he went to the meeting and it was so if somebody could go to the meeting and represent Black Pine.
Well, what the state does, they do have Zoom meetings, they're remote. And if that's the way it's going to be set up, I'll damn well be there. I'm representing myself being up there, and that is a bad location, period. And I'm not gonna, and I will be the first one to hold the damn state responsible if somebody does get killed.
Well, I even tried to look there. I pulled down in there and looking to see if a guy could cut that hump a little bit, but you got private property, power pole, just so you could have a little more view, but you're even cutting it, you still got that hump that once they break it, you're done.
Well, Scott, you basically hit the right, there's 2 speed limit signs now. You know that, we all know that. Well, yeah. What's the big deal in moving it to include this intersection on Black Pine? I mean, that's dealing with the government, okay? And you know that, everybody knows that. They make a big deal out of something. And somebody's got to get killed for over there, and it's going to happen. Like I said, people over here are using their compact cars to save on fuel. I have no problem because I'm in a truck, and so does the school buses. They have no problem either.
Well, the next thing too, Elena, is when they start hauling the sewage stuff out there and going up there, them trucks are big coming out there and they're going 2 to 3 miles an hour and they're going to be coming up on them. They'll have signs, trucks entering, but still, you're 3 miles an hour and an 80-mile-an-hour car pop that hill, you're done.
That's right.
I totally agree with you on this. I don't understand, and they just pretty much, they're set. They're not going to do nothing until somebody gets hurt or killed.
And talking about those sewage trucks.
One of the big trucks are pulling out, somebody coming north, somebody comes, south at 80 miles an hour, where are they gonna go?
It's bad, and you'd have to cut from way back there on the other side by Kessler's, back by that propane tank. You'd have to take 20 feet off that all the way through there, just so you could see, so there would actually be visible, so he wouldn't pull out.
And if I may, one other thing, you mentioned the sewer trucks. That's right. Black Pine is a little bit too small for those trucks to be coming up that road. A dump truck was coming up there yesterday in the middle of the road. That's fine. Nobody's coming the opposite direction, but he could be talking on his cell phone or looking out the window. He noticed that we were coming down and moved over almost the last minute. Thank you for my comments.
Well, thank you for your letter, and I guess we'll send it, once we get, hopefully we can get some more and then we can put them all together and send them over. And then, like you said, you can zoom in on this transportation meeting and talk. I can't think of the guy's name, but there's a whole committee of them that sits there. And we'll just put a letter of support too with yours. And if these guys are with, I'm not speaking for the other two.
Oh, I did it.
Does that sound all right, Elena?
Yes, Scott, I think that'd be a good idea if the county does also include a letter and send it. That's a good idea.
And then maybe we can even get to talk to the mayor in the city to have him, just start getting a few people that actually, a little like the mayor and us and just, yeah, because something's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. I don't want to see nobody hurt or killed there, but it's coming. I've had to swerve around people.
And one other thing, the speed limit that they did put up by Phillipsburg was because there was a death that happened over there.
That's what they told us last time, the time before this one, Elena, when he went over there to Helena. That's pretty much what it was set as. If somebody gets killed, then they really, oh, well, maybe we need that. Well, that's a little late. So
Yep.
anyway, yes, we'll get some more letters and that, and letters do matter. If people write them in, we'll send them all together and we'll put one, we'll get a hold of Mayor Reddish and see if he'll support it, and we'll move on with it, okay?
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, so we're gonna, oh, whoops. Early.
So am I writing a letter from you guys, kind of summarizing the comments you guys have made for here, and then you'll review it?
We can get it before May 3rd, right, you said?
Yeah, Glenn Campbell, I'll send in a group from the public comments, but Glenn Campbell from Montana Department of Transportation has been bugging me for guys.
Yeah, because then he takes it to the main board and then it goes through that whole. It was a big one last time. Rick Day. No, not Rick Day. Oh, the other guy, DS guy, from, he lived there, Mac Barsetti, or whatever his name was. He's the one that went over there and fought that one there. He did good.
So I'll write your guys' letter and have it on.
Okay. He might be somebody they want to contact too to see the steps that he went through, but I mean, he worked on it for over a year and finally. Is there any other public comment on speed limit at Black Pine Road coming into Highway 1? Maybe the sheriff, I don't know if he will.
Reach out to Justin Bloom, too. He's the director for the transportation for the bus system. School.
Who's that?
Justin Bloom, I believe, is the director for the director of transportation for the school.
Who's for this school?
Yeah.
He owns the buses?
He, manages them.
Oh, maybe get a letter from him and maybe a letter from, I don't know, Drummond School, or give a letter or something. Because I mean, now that they've combined football and that, they're bringing them kids up here in them buses and that, it's something that might get a letter from them too. Dean Phillips is his name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just thinking Bob Sackman owns a bus, but Drummond School just bought their own bus, so maybe he'll give us a letter of support.
I think they used an air capital.
So that'd be something, reach out to them, and I guess everybody that we can. I don't know if the Eagle Ambulance, something like that, where they're breaking, coming over. I think just more support we get from everybody, it's business owners, whatever. You should just break that speed limit right down from down there on the other side of the hill when you come around the corner from there all the way. And I mean, I know it's going to make more business or more, the cops are gonna have to work, but really that's highway patrol too. And blames it. Okay, we're gonna go on to the Granite County versus our Combrick general release discussion decision. Have you guys looked this over? Were you happy with the outcome? I just had a couple comments there. A few people couldn't believe that I just recused myself from it. It was,
Yeah, you had to. Hold on, hold
yeah, Blaine said it was good. I can tell you what he said. Oh, Blaine said he'll work with you on a county letter. Henry Barsotti is the guy that's for that. If you're on there, Elena, Henry Barsotti.
He's the one that got the speed down in
Yeah.
Maxwell.
He went over to the meeting and they called and complained because he was loud. It was release for Combrick. Please sign and have Billy give it to Claudette. So I'll take a motion on the signing this release for Combrick.
So I'll move to the sign and the Combrick, release.
I'll second it. So if you. You
He
signed
told
it?
me to sign it.
He told you to sign it?
Maybe I hope I didn't
I
screw
think we tell him to sign it.
it.
Sign it. No.
Yeah. Yes, I will.
So you seconded it?
This ain't Blaine's a text. All in favor?
Aye. Then you say aye. He can't
Aye.
say anything.
Any public comment?
We
Being
just told him
none,
to
all in
sign
favor, aye.
Yeah. Tomorrow at 11.
Chuck or Blanche can sign it. I already signed it, Blaine. I just
I can print it.
oh, he gave me a thumbs
Oh,
up.
okay, yeah.
Thing about the main that was on the permit
On the
system
matters,
and
yeah.
then going up there and talking to him about some of the, where they're working and that. And I had a comment on somebody patted a Paul went up and checked, but it didn't hurt nothing. The escalator come out at midnight, but it was some other guy moved it down, but he didn't hurt it. It was fine. So we'll pass that on. I'll entertain a motion that we adjourn. If there's no other comments,
I'll second it.
meeting's been adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Good job.